All right, guys, welcome back. We got a new episode here. My last attempt at this, I took 50 minutes, so I'm going to try and trim 20 minutes of fat off of the video here. So I'm going to be a little bit more punctual. I'm not going to elaborate as much on some of the historical stuff. But today's video is how to collect early war Germans. I had a request during the live Q&A to do Germans. He didn't say what type of Germans. I plan on doing lots of different Germans. Early war, late war, Waffen SS, Fallschirmjägers, Gerbringjägers, Jagers, sorry, you name it. I plan on doing it. But today we're doing early war German infantry slash Panzer Grenadier. Some housekeeping items. One, this is not a skirmish army. This is a big battle 28 millimeter army, meaning I want to play like the more company sized game with this force. I'm tailoring it towards battle group. You could do You Ain't Been Shot Mum. I've never played it. I think that's a larger real set. You could do uh, Flames of War, I suppose, but I'm doing it for battle group. Um, Two, when I say early war, I mean 1940 to 1941. This doesn't really work for 39 because a lot of the German, number one, there wasn't that many panzer divisions. Number two, their equipment was a lot different. And number three, their organization was a lot different. They didn't have 10-man squads. Their squads were larger. It won't work for later. It could work for 42 wholeheartedly if you did it right. But there are some distinctive things, especially with the heavy weapons and equipment, that make this more for 40 and 41. And as you can see, and as you will see rather, not everything here is going to be kosher, completely kosher for 1940, because I'm specifically tailoring mine for 41 for Barbarossa. So when we get to like tanks, I have a tank platoon in my list. What you couldn't use those tanks didn't exist for for the invasion of France. They only had them for the invasion of Russia. All right, so let's get down to it, guys. Number one, what distinguishes early war Germans from late war Germans? Well, a couple things here. As you can see here on my screen, these are all late war guys. Well, some of these are Fallschirmjäger, but you got guys in smocks. Oh yeah, camouflage galore. Some of these guys are Waffen SS too. They got different caps, but there's three very distinguishing factor in my book that distinguishes a early from a mid to late war guy. One being the camouflage. Are they wearing camouflage like the guys in here? Do they have that marsh pattern or the splinter pattern camouflage, helmet covers and smocks? If they do, they're not early war. The German army didn't start issuing those smocks and helmet covers until 42. You could use them for Stalingrad. There's pictures of guys with these helmet covers in Stalingrad, but not for 40 and 41. The second thing is the boots. They got these low boots. In 1942, to save on resources, the German army went to the low boot with the gaiter as opposed to the long jack boots. Okay, now you'll see these. Whoops, I didn't mean to click that. You'll see these in black and brown. The boots came brown, and a lot of soldiers, depending on the unit, would dye them. Okay, the third is the peaked visor cap. Okay, so you can see here I've already typed it up. The early war guys are going to have these peakless, what we call overseas caps in the American Army, but what were known then as side caps. Side caps for these guys. Okay, and you can see here they had them in all branches, and that's what they're going to have. Now in 1942, they went to this style of cap right here, the one with the brim. It'll load. Yep. the one with the brim. They went to this style of cap in 1942 and 43. So if you want to do later war guys, they can have uh, this style of cap. So those are the three distinguishing items that I see between early and mid and late war Germans. So, if you're a guy that really doesn't care about historical accuracy, power to you, do whatever you want. But I think most people are striving to see historically accurate stuff here. And then a brief note on the uniforms here. Here's a really, really nice color plate. See if we can't get a larger version of it. AK Interactive. Oh, we love you, AK Interactive. Look at that. Yeah. No, give us the color plate. We want the color plate. Dang it, it ain't gonna give it to us. All right. This is a good color plate right here representing 1940 and 41 German infantry. Now, all these guys, as you can see here, their uniforms are two different shades of gray. You got a green gray and a gray gray, right? German stuff's easy to follow because it's all numbered by the year it was accepted into service or pushed into service. Those trousers are the M37 trousers, meaning they came out in 1937 or they were accepted in 1937. Um, by 1941, these were starting to go away. You still see soldiers wearing these in 1941, especially if they were in the army for a while. But they started doing the matching trousers to the tunics. Also, the M36 tunic is the one with the pleated pockets and the bottled green collar there. And that would have been the tunic they would have marched 100% with into Poland and mostly into, if not completely, into France. In 1940, they got a more simplified tunic that didn't have the dark green collar, and the pleats started to get omitted on the tunics. So I have personally done a mixture of both on my army. I have a mixture of the stone gray trousers, M36 tunics, and M40 tunics, all mixed in there. So that way, if I want to, I could use my guys that have all matching uh, tunic and trousers with the the matching collar. Those could be my 1942 Stalingrad guys. Okay, no, perfectly, and I did that just for maximum flexibility. But you could do it. You could do it however you like. This is probably going to be the more accurate look for 40. For 41, you're going to have a mixture. For 42, these stone gray trousers are probably gone. Jack boots are still there, but not the stone gray trousers. So, and you would still see the dark green collar in 42. All right, so we got that out of the way. Let's move on to the list itself. Now, this list is to represent a pseudo German infantry company of 1941. Okay. Now I've added some things in there so I could play them as different types of Panzer Grenadier units, but but some of the things like the headquarter units at both at the platoon and company level are not accurate. There was like 20 to 30 guys at a company headquarters in the rifle companies on paper. This is all on paper, paper strength, what we call MTO in the United States Army. So, you know, chances are after Barbarossa hard started, these units wouldn't have been full strength a lot. So let's just go down here, and I'll just annotate something here. As you can see here, I have different vehicles. The entire company is not outfitted with vehicles. I might do that down the road. I might give 5 SDKFZ 251s to each platoon. But that, it's like 20, it's like 18 half tracks in total, and that's a lot of money. It's like $300 up front, and I don't have that. So right now I'm starting out with 7, enough for the company commander and enough for one platoon, and then I got Opel Blitz trucks for another platoon, and I can use those for other things and other time frames as well. Okay, so going down here, we got a company HQ of a company commander with 3 men that include the company spice. That's what they called their first sergeants or sergeant major if they're in the British Army. A medic, the AT section, which is 3 AT teams plus a squad leader, and then a company troop of 7 men. And like I said, that company troop was more like 20 men. So, you know, I don't need that many in a company headquarters for gaming. That's just a little too ridiculous. All right. German platoons. This is a German platoon of 1941 infantry platoon. The only difference between this and a Panzer Grenadier platoon would be that a Panzer Grenadier platoon would have 2 machine gun teams as opposed to 1. Okay, that's the only difference. They were 10-man squads. Also, I guess technically a Panzer Grenadier squad would have an extra MP40 for the driver of the half track. A note on half tracks: not every Panzer Grenadier battalion was equipped with half tracks. Typically, only one battalion out of a Panzer Grenadier division or Panzer Grenadier regiment, if they were in a Panzer Grenadier division or Panzer division, would be equipped with what they called the Panzer Spal wagons, the half tracks. The rest were equipped in trucks. So there were a couple exceptions to this. The Panzer Lehr Division was completely mechanized with half tracks, and the 25th Panzer Division was also fully mechanized, if I remember correctly. So, okay, thank you. I'll buy it later. Um, the platoons here, we have a platoon leader, we have a platoon troop of 4 men, and then we have the 5 centimeter mortar. By 1942, this was gone. Some units replaced them with the 8 centimeter mortar from the battalions when the battalions got the 120 mils. Some had nothing. But in the 1940 and 1941 period, they would have had 1 light mortar team per platoon. And then we have 4 squads, all congruent with 10 men. And it's that easy. So that's it. And you got 3 platoons per company. So you're looking at 162 miniatures in total, plus vehicles. That right there is a really good force. If you had nothing else, and one of these Hano mags up here has a Pack 36 on it. That seemed to be um, that seems to be pretty normal. They took a lot of Pack 36s as they were being replaced in the Panzerjäger units with Pack 38s and Pack 40s, and they pushed them out to the Panzer Grenadier units, and they mounted them on the 251 half tracks. So I have chose to give my company commander a Pack 36. Don't have to do that. You can do it. Just that's what I'm doing. Support options. Now this is really interesting. This isn't just a organic company. Almost every German unit was task organized for specific missions and given assets. Okay, because a company by itself doesn't really have enough firepower to accomplish most missions that it's intended to do. So a German battalion had 3 rifle companies, infantry companies, and a heavy company. The American army was organized the same way during the period. Technically, we're still organized the same way. And though the heavy company had heavy MG42s, the MG42s and the tripods, and it had a mortar platoon of 8 centimeter mortars, like I said, in 1942 and 43, that went to 120s. But for 1940 and 41, I'm going to have a weapons platoon. So this is a detached platoon from the heavy company that is attached, and it's going to have 2 machine gun squads. So that's 4 machine guns in total right here. So each machine gun team's a 5-man team plus a squad leader. So we're looking at 22 miniatures. We got a platoon leader for the weapons platoon. And then the mortar section would essentially just be 1 squad of 8 miniatures. Each 8 centimeter mortar squad team was 3 men, and then you had a rangefinder and a squad leader for a total of 8. So that would be my weapons platoon right there. So you're looking at, I think, 29, 30 miniatures right there for a weapons platoon. And then in the German army, they had enough. There was enough, they had 3 machine gun platoons and 3 mortar squads. So there was enough the intent was that every company could have a heavy weapons platoon for their mission, but it was at the battalion commander's discretion how those assets were allocated. If a company had an extremely hard defensive sector or needed more support than another company, the company commander could say, "Oh, you're going to get a second machine gun platoon," or I'm sorry, the battalion commander, not the company commander, because the heavy company was controlled by the battalion commander, and he divvied out the assets. All right. Below it, we got a Pack 36. This would be suitable for 40 and 41. If you go a Pack 38, that's only going to be suitable for 41. I do 5-man crews with a light tow. Plenty of, you can use an Opel. You could pretty much use any of the trucks the German army used, except for the Molitor. The Molitor wasn't out yet, or the RSO. Flak 36, these would have been at the division, and there were independent Army and Luftwaffe units on this, but it's going to be an 8-man crew with a heavy towing half track right there. I got a Stug 3D because this is what the mainstay that supported the infantry. There weren't a lot of these. They weren't in the Polish campaign. Not a lot of them saw action in France. Their first real major action was the invasion of Russia. This is the Stug with the little shorty gun on it that was meant it's solely for infantry support. I am only doing one of those. A platoon or a section would be 3 guns, I believe, 3 to 5 of these Stugs. You could do that if you wanted, in lieu of a tank platoon too, if you wanted. A recon section. The intent was the German army, every recon battalion of a German division, infantry included, was to be motorized. In theory, they couldn't do that. They didn't have the fuel or the vehicles. And a lot of the infantry battalions had cars, motorcycles, bicycles, you name it. But because we're a Panzer Grenadier unit, we're going to give them the 4-rad armored car. Now, you could do the 6 or the 8-rad armored cars. They were all used throughout the entire war, but we're going to do the 2-rads. And the 4-rad. The typical section or platoon composition would have been 2 of the 2-centimeter autocannon cars, and then 1 of the radio cars with the large square antenna with a machine gun on it. So that was a reconnaissance section that could be used there. And then I got a Panzer platoon. I'm going to do 5 Panzer III Fs, so that way I can use them for Barbarossa. You could use E's if you wanted them to be used for Barbarossa or France. I want Fs, so it's really only going to be good for Barbarossa, but that's okay. And then last, not last, there's one more caveat that I don't actually have written down here. I have a Panzer Pioneer section of, this is actually 12 men. They were a little bit larger, but yeah, I have 12 men with a 251 half track of the engineering variant with the bridge equipment on it. And mine also has a squeeze bore 28 millimeter anti-tank gun on it that would not be suitable for France. Those came out during Barbarossa. It'd be really good for Stalingrad campaign. But the only other thing that I have that I'm doing, that I'm partially done with, that I don't have listed, is I'm doing a battery of LEFH 18105 howitzers. So 3 to 4 guns of that. And that's so I can do attacking and defending scenarios. I think that'll look pretty impressive to have a gun set, a battery of those guns, out on display. And they would have SDKFZ-10, the light tractors, to tow that. You could also do 20 millimeter and 37 millimeter anti-aircraft options for here, towed or mechanized. So that's what we got right there. I'm going to do a quick little time check here. Where are we at? 19 minutes. Nice. I think I shaved some time. So, miniature options. Well, the first one is Warlord. Warlord has a very robust early war line, a lot of metal support options, and then they have their core plastic box sets. The plastic box sets are cool. They have almost every vehicle you can think of. They even have cool stuff if you're wanting to do a horse-drawn static infantry division or artillery battery. You can get the wagons, and that's really cool. Then they have just multiple options, every variation of armored car, um, every variation of early war tank. They got some cool add-ons. Their plastic sets, unlike Hail Caesar and Pike and Shot, their plastic sets are actually really nice for the Blitzkrieg Germans. I have 2 boxes of these Blitzkrieg infantry guys, and then I have a box of the Pioneers, which are the Blitzkrieg guys with some metal add-ons to turn them into Pioneers. So I have a lot of their stuff. It's perfectly fine. It's really nice. They have crash shoots and options there. I'll highlight one thing here. It's not actually on here, but they have it otherwhere on the website. For $70, you get the half track with this German gun 88 Flak 36 and limber set, and that is cool because that's ready to go right there. So put it on a large base like that, and it's the Army variant. The reason why you know it's the Army variant, it has the gun shield. Luftwaffe ones didn't have the gun shield because this was meant for ground combat. So yeah, pretty cool. Next is Crusader. Crusader has a little bit of packs there. I own a lot of their stuff. I own the mortar team. I own the 5 centimeters. I own all of the various infantry. I don't own the tank hunters because if you look here, most of them have Panzerfaust, and that is not suitable for early war. And then I don't own this one because these machine guns look dorky. There's no bipod. This does not look. This looks like an MG and almost like like the lightened version of the MG08 to me. There's no bipod on it. It doesn't look right to me. These models are of the chunkier proportions. They look fine. Once again, no bipod on the MG34. I don't like that. So these guys paint up really good. Typical Crusader quality. Nothing to complain about there. Artisan also does German or very small. They do a command pack. These guys are 100% suitable for early war. As you can see here, they got side caps and jack boots. 100% suitable. I only own though their squad. They do a 110-man squad here that would be suitable for the early war. They actually have them painted up as early war. With these guys are large. They are large. They are the largest miniature I own. They're tall and chunky. They're like as tall as Footsore, but chunky like Crusader. So yeah, that's what you got with these guys. The next is one of my favorite. The hotly debated Black Tree Designs. Black Tree Designs, I like their miniatures, their sculpting quality and detail the best. The only problem is you have no idea when you're going to get your miniatures. And like Von Ketteringham said in one of his videos, they have really weird poses sometimes. And I'll demonstrate here. And the website's not the best. I'll see if I can't. Yeah, here you go. Look at these poses. Why is he holding his rifle like that? Like, what is that? He's holding it like a French grenadier in the Napoleonic Wars, and it's like, what is that? Like, I don't know. And then you got to sift through the pictures to see what you're actually getting, because like as you can see, 3 of these guys have jack boots, one has low boots with gaiters, and you got to do that through for all of them. You got to sift through the pictures. Now, luckily, he does have pictures, but you got to sift through your pictures and see what you're getting. Now, these Black Tree Designs, the faces are second to none. I mean, the faces they put on these guys are just amazing, and the overall sculpting quality is amazing. But they have some weird poses, and you gotta do your homework. You gotta go in there and you gotta drill and be like, oh, okay, these guys all have jack boots, no camouflage. They're all suitable for early war, and I own these guys. So I own probably about 40 to 60 Black Tree Design Germans here. Great miniatures. It's a shame. If they just were a little different, they could be great. They could be the stuff of greatness. And then they have some really cool generals. They have Von Paulus, they have Runstedt, they have Sepp Dietrich, they have characters. Like these characters are actually really cool. Guys surrendering, a medic holding his buddy, NCO about ready to throw a grenade. So a lot of cool stuff. Just just You gotta watch out for the poses and make sure you know what you're getting. Next up is Foundry. Foundry is a very small uh, line that's suitable for early war, and that's these guys right here. I'm going to be ordering some of these when I do Foundry. They got this officer set. These guys all are suitable for officers, some as NCOs. These two in particular look like NCOs to me. This one even has NCO braiding on his collar. And then they have one pack of infantry, but the poses look good. They look really good. And then they have a machine gun team. And you get a light machine gun team, a heavy machine gun team, and an anti-aircraft machine gun. So good little variation. And they do have cavalry, because there were a couple cavalry divisions of the German army and Waffen SS. And Kradschützen. These guys aren't really suited for Kradschützen because they don't have sidecars. These are more of, I'd say these guys are more communication messengers, or maybe even military police, and these are your Kradschützen right here. These are the guys you could use as your Kradschützen. That looks like a pretty damn good motorcycle. You get 3 dudes per motorcycle. I really like that. You can mix and match with the Warlord because theirs had 2 figures, and do a Kradschützen platoon if you wanted. The only other company I know that does a comprehensive range for World War II is Gaddis Gaming. This is an American company. The only 2 companies so far that have showcased are American is Black Tree Designs. They have British and American offices, and then Gaddis Gaming. And Gaddis Gaming has a pretty comprehensive German early war line here. They don't have a lot of pictures, unfortunately, so you don't really know like that's those are anti-tank rifles, so like the pictures aren't really accurate. I would hope they could fix their website and get the pictures better. But as you can see here, they have vehicle passengers, flamethrowers, more early mortars, medium machine gun teams, 10-man infantry command teams, and then they also have it for everything. They have Winter, Fallschirmjäger, Late War, Waffen SS, Afrika Korps, and I will be ordering. This is the last company I have not tried. I have nothing from Gaddis Gaming. They have a very large World War II line. I think they're mainly focused on World War I and World War II. And I've seen some of their stuff online, and they look good online. They look just as good as Warlord medals. So I'm really hoping, and you can see here, yeah, they look good. They look good in the pictures. Late War Panzerschreck team. So yeah, I look forward to getting some of these guys here. For vehicles, you got a lot of options in addition to Warlord here. You got Rubicon, and they do everything, guys. They have every German vehicle you can think of in every variant. Uh, just really good stuff here. And I can't think. I really like Rubicon. They're plastic kits. They have more pieces to them than a Warlord kit. So if you're more of a modeler and you want more of a detailed kit, go with Rubicon. If you don't like assembling it as much, stay away from Rubicon. But they're still perfectly suitable for play. Perfectly suitable for play. I really like them. They're probably my favorite. And they have a very comprehensive line for the nations here, to include Italy. They are now doing Italian vehicles, so pretty cool. Blitzkrieg miniatures. Now, if you are that guy that hates assembling anything, Blitzkrieg does resin tanks in both 148 and 156. I like 156 because of storage and transportation, but they have a very comprehensive range. Extremely comprehensive. Really good stuff here. I own 4 of their vehicles, and I love them all. They're all really good. And they don't, you have to glue gun barrels on. That's it. Like, there's really nothing that, if you order like some of the anti-aircraft vehicles, you might have to assemble like I actually own this one. You have to assemble a little bit more here, like the deck here. But other than that, these things don't require jack and shit for assembly. So really great option there. That is more or less it, guys. If I left a manufacturer out, please put it down below. I really want to help you guys with your armies here. I think 28 millimeter large battle war games can make a comeback. The only person I ever seen that has an army set up like this is Yorkshire Wargamer. He has his British and Italian desert guys. For the East Desert campaigns that Italy did, like Operation Compass, that sort of thing. He's the only one, and I looked at his army showcase that he did for his Italians and Brits, and I was blown away. And that is what inspired me to do this. I saw his video and I was like, all right, I'm doing the same thing because why not? Because before this, it's like, oh, if you wanted a large World War II army, you're doing 15 or 10 millimeter, right? You got to go small. Got to play with the ants. Why not do 28? Like, take your time. I mean, I paint 300 miniatures for an ancient army. Why can't I do 200 for a World War II army plus vehicles? You can. And you can tailor rule sets. Alan Smith plays 28 millimeter battle group. He has a couple videos about games he did in 28 millimeter battle group. Make the rule, you just got to rework the ranges of the weapons, and that's it, and the movement distances, and that's it. The rules still work. So that was it for me, guys. I hope this helped a couple of you guys out. This is a big interest area for me here. I really like that 1941. I think the German army of 1941 that invaded Russia was one of the greatest armies in history. Kind of like Alexander's Macedonians or the Grand Army, the original Grand Army that trained on the coast. Those were all armies that were like historically defining armies, and I think the Wehrmacht of 1941 also fits in that category. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. And until next time, guys, keep on painting.